Okay, like you already heard, my name is Rosemary Okafor. I'm an author. The journey didn't start today. Years back, I think 5 years, yeah, 5 years ago. And it wasn't as glamorous then as it is now. Because being an author has never been amazing. And then I'm forced to tell you that there are two types of authors now. In Nigeria, we have the independent published author, and then we have the traditionally published author. What trended years ago is the traditionally published author, where you conceive an idea, you write down your story, you carry manuscript from one publishing house to the other, you knock at doors, and then you submit your manuscript, and when they read your script, they like it, they now offer you a contract. Then you are published. The likes of Chimamanda Adichie, she's a traditionally published author. The likes of Ngugi Wationgo, he is a traditionally published author. And late Chidiebere, the renowned author, he is a traditionally published author. But then we have the advent of social media and the advent of the new media that opened the eyes of many writers and gave us that realization that yes, you can actually write a book and publish by yourself. Now that's a kind of a proliferation, and it has its pros and cons. But then I'm not here to talk about the world because it's a large discussion. So I'm here to talk about how we started. I started with nothing the idea to write because I know that I'm a very good fabricator. I don't want to say that. I don't want to use the word lying fabulously. I always tell people that whoever can lie very well can tell a story. Yeah. It's a very, very bad thing, yeah, to use on someone. But if you can lie perfectly, you can tell a story. You can tell a story because stories are all about fabrications and mixing facts with fiction. But there are ones that are purely fictions. When you talk about fantasy, sci-fi, different genres of literature. But then somebody like me, I merge facts with fiction. So let's just call it a fictional realism. My own word coin and fictional realism, So it starts with nothing, an idea. You realize you want to write. And then you nurse this idea, the kind of story you want to write. There are different kinds of story. You don't just dabble into writing anything and any. So you decide the kind of story you want to tell. And for some persons, you don't want to tell story. You want to write motivational. You want to write church books. You want to write academic books. That is all fine. But then it starts with the idea, what angle do you want to channel your energy on? What are you writing about? And how are you going to write it? Not everybody can write, but not everybody can write properly. I tell people, you can write, yeah, but not everyone can write properly. So you need to be guided. You need to know how to write properly. You need to know how to synchronize your words. You don't need to jump from here and there. And if you can achieve discipline in writing and discipline in sticking to that theme you want to write about, that is a stepping point, a stepping stone. So you get the idea, you write your story. And the mistake most first-time writers do, I did that, is after writing, you have your manuscript. Now we no longer write with pen and paper now. You type directly on the keyboard. So your work is there. I can't remember the last time I wrote with pen and paper. You have your manuscript now. The next thing that comes to your head is, let me go and look for who will publish me. And you are out there either sourcing for a publisher online or you are meeting them physically. Nowadays it's online because you have more of these publishers having their space online. So you don't really need to move from here to Lagos to get a publisher. I will have to mention the major publishers we have in Nigeria now that really publish books, not printers. We have the big players, the Masobe publishers. They are based in Lagos and also abroad. And then you have the Narrative Press. These are indigenous Nigerian publishers, the big names. So you have Masobe, that's the biggest. And then you have Narrative Landscape following. Then you have these people we call Quada, I think Quida, Quada. That's a major publisher. The three of them, traditional publishers in Nigeria, based in Nigeria, and then have outlets. Quida, Quada. So, but then we have these ones that are partly here in Nigeria and abroad. We have Parafina. Parafina publishes Chimamanda's books. Yeah, Parafina. We have Parafina, and then we have Cassava Republic. Cassava also publishes Chimamanda's book. So we have Parafina, and then we have Cassava Republic. We can check these names out online when we are done with this class. These are traditional publishers that publishes Nigerian books. So, but before you carry your manuscripts to go to these people that you want them to publish you, one thing you have to know is to read, go online, read about them and the genres they publish. I write romance, and from experience, I noticed that Masobe publishes Afro-Jujuism, literary fiction, futuristic stories. Afro-Jujuism talks about Nigerian traditional folklores, myths, and so on. And then you have literary fiction. Literary fiction talks about war, politics. And then there's something beautiful about literary fiction, you know, where you have all these literary appreciation being merged in words, and literary is what we call a purple writing, flowery words. You just want to show how wordy you are. So, and that's what makes it. So you have to read about these companies and know what they want. So you don't go to submit your lovey-dovey story to people that just want war and poverty and what it may. Unfortunately, we have very minimal publishers that want to publish pure romance, and that is where the business comes in. But we're not going to talk about that, because if you want to make money in this industry, you know what the market wants, you know what you want, you fuse them together, and then you are getting satisfaction because you're writing what you love, and you're also giving them what they want. They want to cry, give them cry, let them cry. Okay, so you study these companies and you know what they want, so you can submit your work properly. For some of us, or some persons that also want to write Christian fiction, I think there are publishers also, but I don't know if we have that in Nigeria. But you can spread your tentacles abroad. There are Nigerians that are published abroad, many of them. So let's come back home. Before you carry your script to these people, don't write a first draft and rush to go and publish. By first draft, we mean that thing that is pouring out of your head with so much passion. You are, in fact, the words, we call it inspiration, is just coming out and you are writing it, your hands are, if you are writing with pen and or your keyboard, you are tapping, everything is pouring. That's your first draft. And permit me to say that every first draft is always a pile of shit. Sorry. As you are writing them then, it's so beautiful. You love what you are doing. The Holy Spirit is ministering to you. It's just going there. By the time you know it, you have produced 98,000 words. Wow. 80,000 words. Wow. 40,000 words. Wow. 100 and something thousand. My current work in progress is about 92,000 words. And there is first draft. And I know definitely by the time I go through it again, I'm going to cut off so many things. So don't carry a first draft to a publisher, because they don't have the patience to rework your work. They are there to make money. Now, there is this part of publishing that edits your work, but it is what it is, editing. they don't rework your work. So if your work is not reworked, you will find it very hard to get somebody to publish you. And then when you get so angry that Nigerian publishers, they hate indigenous people writing, and you say, let me go on my own and self-publish, you'll find out that it may be you and your village people that will read the work. Because that's one I actually abandoned. I purchased it for God knows how much, and few pages I just couldn't go on. Nice storyline, but then you can't just get through the first page. You know this is a first draft. And this person was so eager. And that's the problem we have with first-time writers. I did that. But I'm so lucky enough because I have someone who picked the book and told me this is a first draft, but I can work with you. But you might not be lucky like I was. So the first thing is, don't publish your first draft. For some people, what they do is that they allow the first draft to sleep. When I write a first draft, I leave it for months. Some people, maybe a few weeks, but I leave it for months because just call me a perfectionist. I hate when I don't do things right. So I leave it for months, allow it to sleep, then go back to it again, start from chapter 1. It could be a novel, it could be a novella, it could be a Christian motivational book, it could be a whatever it is. Go back again from chapter 1. If you want to make a mark in this industry, what is worth doing is worth doing right. Because in Nigeria, there was a time that they said that Nigerians doesn't write good stories. And when you mention writing, you only mention Chimamanda, you only mention Wole Soyinka, you mention Chidiebere, almost 4, and that's all. But Nigerians, we have amazing authors. The only thing is that some of us lack patience to go through the process. You look at whether what you're writing is lame, whether it can attract, whether it can draw people's attention. Just rework that work. Remove, add, and so on. I'm talking more of fiction writing because I write fiction, but then it also works when you're writing motivational books. So after reworking, that's the second stage. Sorry, it is still not good yet to go to the publisher. Come back again, come back. Start from chapter 1 again. That is now when you start your own editing. And there are 4 types of editing. The first stage of editing is the structural editing. In structural editing, we are looking at continuity, agreement of scenes and chapters, continuity, agreement of scenes and chapters. By continuity, you can have a chapter 1 of Mrs. Kunle Afolabi, and when you get to chapter 2, Mrs. Kunle is no longer Mrs. Kunle Afolabi, you see Mrs. Kunle Afolayo. So that is structural editing. Somebody can tell you, this is Afolabi here, why is there Afolayo there? Oh, I forgot. So this is structural editing. You have to. Continuity. If this man is Afolabi here, let him continue to be Afolabi till the end of the story. If he has gray hair here, let him continue to have gray hair till the end of the story. If there's any reason that the gray hair will come back to black, tell us a reason. Maybe fire burned his hair, or maybe something happens. I'm editing a work for someone, and then this lady is from an Hausa region, and at a point I saw that she sat with her mother. Yeah, from the Hausa. She sat with her mother, and the mother is peeling ugu leaf. I said, I call her auntie Hausa ugu leaf. Where is the correlation? Is there nothing they call, even if she wants to cook that soup in that lesson, I have to find a name, Hausa name for that leaf. And there is an Hausa and a Muslim too, and there's no place in that book that you mentioned that she wore a hijab. So this is what structural editing does. It tightens the story, makes it believable, and then gives the characters depth, develop the characters, give them family. There's something, I don't know whether they do that now. You get a book And the story is all about the man, the woman, the family, and everything is just happening fast, fast, fast. Sometimes I ask, these people, these characters, don't they have brothers? Don't they have sisters? Don't they have friends? Don't they live in a world? Can't they be walking along the streets and meet a stone and hit their legs on the stone? As in, you lift up a character and you place them in a balloon where only them exist. But when you structurally edit your work, you engage every essence of living in your work. The character is going to meet a friend, but along the road, the character saw an accident. Along the road, there is a policeman extorting money. They are not the part of the story, but are the nitty-gritty that makes that story so thick and makes, when one opens the book, oh, I can relate to this. It makes, when you hear somebody say this book is relatable, it's not about the major characters. It's about those ingredients here and there. And that is what a structural editing does to a story. So you see the ways, the little step by step we get to this publishing that I'm coming. And then you have the line editing. When you talk about the line editing, you are looking at sentence structure, and paragraph to paragraph agreement. Paragraph to paragraph agreement. There are some books you will read. You see that their paragraphs are so disjointed. The person knows what he wants to say, what he wants to write. But the way he or she puts it is so disjointed that you reading it say, if he puts an and here, if he puts although here, if he puts this kind of an adjoiner to make this thing come together, it gives room for easy flow. The same book I am editing currently also had that problem. In fact, it's the toughest work I've ever edited in my life. Because unfortunately, it's a first draft, and this person thought she's done. And the reason I took it up is she's a first-time writer, and I feel let's give her a chance. After all, somebody gave me a chance, but it's really, really tough. So you have this kind of disjointed sentences here and there. A sentence that should be following the other is at the fourth line. So you have to yank it from the fourth line back to the second line in order to make it agree. So it's not all about nursing the idea or summarizing the whole book in your head, but also have to do with knowing where to put what in order to make reading very, very easy. Now, I'm still talking about fiction because that is what I write. It's still applicable in writing motivational talks. You cannot quote John 3:16 up, and then when you want to explain the John 16, is added down this thing, something like that. So that's line editing for you, making your sentences, your paragraphs correlate with each other. So when you are reading this happen, when you are doing this and doing that, let it come together. I'm trying to get an example. A character comes into the room. I said the character comes to the room and she pulls her shoe. As she picks a cup of water to drink. And then somebody editing the work like me will be thinking, when a character enters into the room, she's pulling her shoes as she picks a cup of water to drink. Was the cup of water sitting there waiting for her? So you understand?
Was there a butler?
Or was there a butler that was waiting for her to drop that cup of water? Now that's what line editing. And see, if she's alone in that room, she cannot be pulling her. Just like she's pulling and hopping and walking to the kitchen to pick the cup of water or wherever it is. So you make those sentences correlate somehow. So that is the little I can explain on line editing. Then you have the copy editing. That's the cocoa. Copy editing. Copy editing. Tenses. Grammatical errors. In fact, till now, I told people that I cannot edit my work when it comes to copy editing because I might be seeing is and was is in my head. There are people that are born copy editors. They capture these errors where you have There's a lot of things to say here. So we have different voices in writing. You can write in the first person's point of view, second person's point of view, third person's point of view, omniscience point of view. So you can write in these different points of view. But I enjoy writing in the third person's omniscience point of view, where I'm writing, and also in the past tense, where I write in the past, and I'm kind of mirroring the hearts, the actions, and everything of my characters. I allow them to think and also think for them. That's the third person's omniscience point of view. I'm kind of a god describing their thoughts, their movements, whatever, even the one they cannot speak. So that's why my books are voluminous anyways, because I express everything. I express everything. But then there is a problem where I'm writing in third person's point of view. And you get to the center of the book and you're seeing a first person's point of view. That is copy editing. That is the work of a copy editor. And you're writing in third person. What is this doing here? A third person's point of view said, she walks to the road and there's a bang. She. And along the line, you're now saying something like, and I look, and there is somebody walking. And I say to myself, you have migrated from the third person's point of view to the first person's point of view. So that's the work of a copy editor, or if you want to become a jack of all trades, master of all, and you still want to do copy editing for yourself, is to make sure you stick to your point of view. Now, it doesn't mean you cannot do a first person's point of view in a third person's point of view book. But there is a way to do that. If you want to do that, let the first person's point of view be in quotes. Let it be like the character is thinking it out. It is her, it is him doing that, and should be italicized so that the reader will know I am reading the personal thoughts of this character before you move on to whatever you're doing. Yeah, before you move to whatever you're doing. So that is point of view. You now come to tenses. I write in past tense because I'm so comfortable with it. In past tense. But then along the line, the thing is flowing, it's so sweet, and you find yourself squeezing present tense in the past tense. When you write, the rule of the game is if you're writing in past tense, stick to your past tense. If you're writing in present tense, stick to the present tense. If you're writing in even a second person's point of view, stick to that. But there is also a situation that calls that a present tense needs to be added to a book that is written in past tense, just for emphasis sake. And the same rule applies. Italicize it or put it in quotes, so that whoever is reading will know that this is my recent work in progress. I opened it with present tense. It's a festival we call Durbar in Katsina State. I started with it is Durbar, the festival that marks the ending of Eid Kabir. Now somebody will say, this story is written in past tense. Why would you do this one in present tense? Because Durbar is a continuous activity. It's not like it's something that was done in the past, but it's a continuous activity. And because I use that present tense, I have to italicize that particular quote. There's a post I put up on my TikTok and Instagram handle, and I was mimicking how our books would have been sounding without editors. So you are reading. When you are using both the past tense and the present tense, I do this one, I do. If you read first draft of most of your amazing authors, you will laugh your heads off. Seriously. Because you have so much going on there. But thank God for... You still want to ask question?
No. You wait. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, then you have the copy, that's the copy editing. Then the last stage of editing is what we call the proofreading. Proofreading. The last stage of editing is what we call the proofreading. And then I will tell you, brothers and sisters in the Lord, that no author can proofread his own work. No. No author can proofread his or her own work. Proofreading is a kind of polishing. You polish your script. And then you pay for that. You can send out your manuscript after copy editing. Send out your manuscript. That's if you want to traditionally publish, to be traditionally published. You can send out your manuscript after copy editing. Then we are done with all these other thank you, Ojare. So you can send your manuscript now. You can start, they will call it querying. You can start querying publishers. Querying is another course anyways, because it's vast. So querying is kind of writing to publishers now. This is no longer the era where you carry a physical copy. In fact, if you go to their website, they will tell you they don't need you to bring your paper to them. They don't need it there. They will just state to you how it's going to be. Send it through email to them. But first, you have to query them. Let me just say a little bit about querying in case you want to do that tomorrow. In querying, you introduce yourself, tell them what your work is all about, and why you are suitable. You are the right person to tell that story. Why you are the right person to tell that story. I queried Narrative Landscape some few months ago, and they replied yesterday and demanded a full manuscript. So that's a win for me. Awesome. So your querying, let me quote one of my professors and say, your lead will kill you. Your querying will also kill you or make you. So how good you are at querying can make a publisher take interest in your book.